Hello, I'm Andrew Dyer, and welcome to this special edition of the Roundball Report, the only show in the area dedicated to highlighting the exploits of the high school, college, and professional basketball teams which play in the Washington metropolitan area. And here with me again is my co-host, the one and only Coach Nikki Lewis. I didn't say Coach of Capital Christian because Nikki is transitioning to a team yet to be determined. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, holding out for the
correct.
best ability. You trying to get a Scott Brooks? You trying to get a Scott Brooks contract?
I'm working on it. The best offer. That's the one I'm going to take.
Well, Nikki, we have a very special show tonight. It's
Yes,
going to
we
be a
do.
historical show from a perspective of educating some of the viewers in the area, because I was a kid when these young men played, and so you, of course, had to do your Wikipedia research.
I was a mere infant.
But we have from Mackin High School and Villanova, the legendary Herron brothers. We have Reggie, we have Larry, and we have Keith. These three gentlemen played at Mackin High School in the early 70s. Mackin, it was also famous for Johnny Dawkins, Duck Williams, JoJo Hunter, who got, when we forget JoJo, and Austin Carr.
Yeah.
Legendary school that closed in the early 80s, right?
Early 80s, yeah.
Right, but the memories still linger on.
They do. Yeah.
And then you three guys went on the toil to Villanova. And Larry, we'll start with you. You led the trail. So what led you to Villanova?
Well, you know, it was an interesting time back then. My father, you know, he was a real stone of the family and whatnot. And at that time, my mom had passed when I graduated.
Okay.
And I was going around to a lot of different schools. Had an opportunity to play a lot of different places and whatnot. But there was something about Rollie Massimino that my father liked. I would go out in the evenings and come back, Rollie be there. I would go to the mall, Rollie would be there. And he was, just really unrelenting in the way he pursued me. And my pop said, Larry, pick Villanova, so that's what I did.
And that started the legacy of everything. Before we go to the Villanova legacy, we've got a longtime friend of the program joining us via the telephone, Butch McAdams, who wanted to weigh in with his insights. And Butch, welcome to the show as always, buddy.
Man, it is so great to be on the show as always, but this is a special treat to be with the Herron brothers. I mean, three great players, but even better human beings.
So, Butch, educate folks, you know, they're going to be humble and don't want to talk about their ways, but educate folks that you're a basketball historian for Washington, D.C. Talk about the landscape that the Herron brothers laid back in the early to mid-'70s.
Well, first of all, I was a very young coach, and I will never forget this to this day. Back in the summer of 1972, I was 21 years old, and I had a chance to coach the Mackin Summer League. And the starting five was, at the point, David Rivas. At the two, Duck Williams.
That's a great
You had Larry Herron, Keith Herron, and Larry Long. And JoJo Hunter, as a freshman, was coming off the bench. And you talk about coaching. Now, it almost ruined my coaching career, because after that, I thought it was going to be like that for the rest of my career. And I never, ever was able to coach a team that talented. But as I said before, I mean, Larry, Keith, and Reggie were all great players in their own right. There were different types of players. I mean, Larry could do everything. And sometimes I think he sacrificed his offense to do the dirty work or the important things like getting rebounds and blocking shots. And man, you talk about a stretch four. I mean, Keith was, for my money, the original stretch four, where this guy could rebound, he could run the floor, he could post you up, he could shoot from the perimeter, and then, you know, Reggie just could do everything as well. But I want to put the emphasis more on, they were all gentlemen. They were all the epitome of what it meant to be then and now a student athlete.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now let's talk about those days, Larry. So Mackin, inform people about the historical significance of Mackin High School.
Well, when I went to Mackin, it was the original place. It was on 14th and V.
That's right, V Street.
And, you know, I had to catch 3 buses in order to get there. You know, we didn't have busing like they have today. I mean, I had to catch the DC Transit, okay? and there were 3 buses that took me to Mackin. And it was a small school. It was probably only maybe 250 students. And it was right in the middle of a lot of apartments, old apartments, and wasn't a great place to have a school. And but a lot of great ball players came out of Mackin. A lot of great ball players came out.
Right. So talk about what it was like to play with your brothers first at Mackin.
Well, it was good. You know, I decided what happened. Coach Garner, who was my coach at Hart Junior High School,
Okay.
took me around. He said, "I'm gonna take you to 3 schools. I'm gonna take you to Mackin. I'm going to take you to DeMatha, and I'm going to take you to Carroll." Well, I went to Mackin, and when I went there, the coach, Paul Furlong, was the coach that he said, "Hey, don't send him no place else. This is the school. This is the school for him. We want him." So when I went there, and then Keith came the year after, and then Reggie came a couple of years after that as well. And it was great. I mean, I didn't get a chance to play with him at Hart because I played 1 year there, and he was. You didn't play that second.
No, I didn't, but I was watching.
But he was watching.
I was watching.
So when he came to Mackin,
Yeah.
and when he got there, I think his second year, we teamed up and started playing together and whatnot. Then Reg came. He came later.
So being the big brother of the group, you taught them everything they know, right?
Well, I taught him everything. You know, I used to take him in the backyard. You know what happened? Well, let me tell you what happened. I bought a basketball goal, bagging groceries. I used to bag groceries for Fort McNair. And I put a goal up. My father put a goal up. He didn't pull it up right, but he put it up. And we learned to shoot. We learned to shoot on that basket. Okay? And I would take him out. I was the oldest, and of course I would beat him all the time. Keith got sick and tired of me beating him all the time and whatnot. But I used to wear him out, and then Reggie would come out, and he got tired of Keith beating. Yeah, he was watching too, and he got tired of Keith beating him. But and then we just battled, and we were the best players in the area, so we were competing against the best right there.
Right.
And you know, and one thing led to another, and history has it, you know.
So you guys watched your brother. So did it give you a lot of motivation to play as well as he and try to beat him in the backyard?
Well, for me, it started out even, you know, I want to go back even a little further than that. My father was, he was very, very tough on us, and he made us very competitive in terms of with the things that he used to do as a kid I can remember. And then when we were young, we used to be in what's called the soapbox derby. I'll never forget that. And me and Larry, you know, early on we had cars, and we built those cars. And when we had the day of the race, I'll never forget. You had to walk up this hill up in Northwest, and I'm like, wow. And you know, Larry was the oldest, and I said to myself, well, if he can do this, I know I can do it. So he was always my benchmark.
I was a guinea pig. I was a guinea pig. I was a guinea pig, you know. So they always watch me say, I got it.
Larry
can do it.
Too.
That's right.
Not only the soapbox derby, but also was the pass, punt, and kick. And we were part of that as well, you know. And again, you know, my father, he just kept us active in terms of, you know, in sports and, you know, keeping us competitive amongst the 3 of us. And I do remember those for some very, very important beginning years in terms of our development in sports. And it just kind of like went on. And I can remember in junior high school when I went to Hart and Larry was playing. I was a baseball player. I mean, I really didn't start playing basketball until I was in the 9th grade. So I remember watching Larry. I remember him playing against the teachers at Hart. He scored 32 points. I'm like, wow.
No, 52.
Correction.
No, just 52.
It was.
Yeah, 52. I broke a record. It broke a record.
So then I remember after that game, I said, Larry, look, man, you gotta show me how to shoot. How do you shoot?
Wow.
You know? And he said, well, you put your hand up like this, and then you do like this. And that's all he had to tell me. And from that point on, I was endless in terms of my work ability. You know, I was relentless.
He was hard working.
You know, and I would absorb. I absorbed so much. And I just started just working and working and working at my craft. And one thing led to another. I went to Mackin. Met a gentleman by the name of Duck Williams. And Duck Williams and myself, we were in the 10th grade. And we were like sponges on each other. I mean, absorbing, playing one-on-one after school, after we did our homework, and we was just ball hogs. So he was very, very instrumental in me developing that Mackin. And we had some memorable moments there.
Yeah, I remember I used to always have to go up and pick him up in the evenings. I had to always, when I got a car, I was bagging groceries. And I bought me a car. The first night I had the car, because I had to take Reggie and Keith home, it didn't start. So they all laughed and whatnot. But I had the car. I finally got it started and whatnot, and I kept it started thereafter.
So Reggie, was it the same way for you?
Yeah, you know, when Larry keeps talking about my father, okay, there are a couple of things that you have to really look at in terms of why we had a commitment to be the best we could be. Our father, he worked like 3 jobs, but he still found the time to spend with us. Right. And the time that he did spend with us, we were able to absorb special moments like a sponge. So when you look at the accolades, especially of my 2 brothers, I mean, I don't come close to, I mean, the greatness that they achieved, but I did achieve some great moments. Right. It goes back to the foundation of my father instilling in us and watching him have a work ethic. Right. So it was an easy transition for me. When we were growing up, like Keith had mentioned baseball, we went through a segment in our lives where we were playing different sports. Well, Larry was doing basketball. Keith was he was an excellent baseball player, and he played with Eddie Jordan when they were growing up on the same team. Right, and I remember that. Yeah. And I myself, I was leaning towards football. I was going to play football. So one day, Keith changed and said, basketball. So I walked up to number 11 boys club and played 12 and under. And that was the first time I started playing basketball. The coach didn't do nothing but spend time getting mad at me. Mr. Greer, what are you doing? You can't, look, get this guy. You know, it was a difficult time for me to try to find myself. But and my mother was so excited because she said, my baby, he done went out, he's going to play basketball. She was so proud because I would hang around her, I was a little chubby and stuff like that. And I was determined to stick with it. And one of the nice moments for me is that coach that was always on me. Right. As I got older, he came to my games and he was my biggest fan. Wow.
Yeah,
that was a great moment.
Wow.